Me again, second video in the same night. My name is Craig J. Davis and welcome to my channel. Noswaith dda, that's Welsh for good evening. I just thought I'd tell you about my time, about my holiday that I spent in Lanzarote in October 2012. God, how old was I then? 10, 20. Let me work out on this. I was 29 years of age. I was on holiday there for 5 weeks. And I tell you what, I never felt in such paradise. I don't know what's like there now, since all of this COVID-19 nonsense. Yeah. You know, with that anti-2-meter social distancing, because there's no social distance, is it? How can you social distance if you got to keep apart from people by 2 meters? And of course, it's before the time where you were told that you had to constantly use that hand sanitizer to the point where you didn't have an immune system and where your hands were red raw from using all the hand sanitizer. And of course, it was before the time where you were told that you had to be muzzled up like dogs over a virus that has a 99% recovery rate. But if you ask me, it has a 100% recovery rate because it doesn't exist. But anyway, back to 2012, where even though life wasn't perfect, it was better than what it is today. It was amazing. Hot weather, cheap booze, cheap cigars, cheap food. You didn't have to worry about wearing extra clothing, and you didn't have to worry about central heating because you had a gorgeous hot dry weather. I tell you what, right, speaking of cigars, when I got there, right, no word of a lie, when I arrived there, I smoked more cigars in the first 3 days than I had in the last 3 years. Why? Because they were so cheap. They were so cheap. They were dead cheap. Cheap as chips. I could buy cigars out there, right? I remember, right? And there was a tobacconist on every corner, right? I'm not saying that they were Cuban. I think some of them were. I mean, they've gone back a long time now, right? But some of the cigars were probably made locally. I mean, they had the climate for it because it was in the Canary Islands, just off the coast of North Africa. Just off the coast of North Africa, right? But I remember once I bought a box of 100 cigars. They were this big, if not bigger, right? But they were around about this big, right? Yeah. So I bought a box of 100 cigars. In their currency, I'll be honest, I can't remember the currency, but I remember working it out in the British pound sterling. A box of 100 big, thick cigars. They could be Cuban, right? But nevertheless, they were big cigars. They were about this big and this thick, right? 100 of them. A box. In our currency, £35. Now you may think that's a lot. It's not. Think about that. For all of those who live in Britain, £35 for a box of 100 long, thick cigars. And so because they were so cheap, I bought 2. That's £65. Now, if you bought that in this country, that would work out at around about £2,000. Yeah. Now can you see the comparison? Now can you see the correlation? This is why I smoked more cigars in the first 3 days than I had in the last 3 years. I was smoking all the time because it was so cheap. In fact, it got to the point where I wasn't just smoking a cigar, I was wearing a cigar. Wearing a cigar, as in other words, the cigar became part of my clothing. And the booze, that was cheap. Right? In our currency, I can't remember their currency, I can't. But what's important is in the British pound sterling, because I'm British, I'm Welsh, I'm British. I had to force that out because unfortunately I have a stutter, I know. Right? The booze out there. Even cheap as chips. So cheap, right? It's cheap in the pubs as well as in the off licenses. So cheap that a pint worked out about £1.50. £1.50 for a pint of a beer and about 80p a can in the off license. It was amazing. I loved Lanzarote. I was there for 5 weeks on a holiday. I met someone out there as well. I met someone out there. Her name was Teresa. And she was from Tower Hamlets, which is a London borough in East London. And she spoke with a thick Cockney accent. She was lovely, but mental. Tell her what, she loved the drink. Believe you me, she used to speak like this. What you talking about? What's the matter with ya? You ain't gonna have another pint? Why not? Have another pint, love. What's the matter with ya? Go on, enjoy yourself. Fucking have it, lovely jubbly. Oh, brilliant. It's amazing. The sun, the gorgeous weather, the cheap cigars, the cheap booze, the cheap food. Even the food was cheap. In fact, it was cheaper eating out than it was going to the grocery store and cooking indoors because I had a villa. Sorry, no, it wasn't a villa. It was a hotel complex. Sorry, but... And I stayed with her night. It's good as well. And then when it was time to come home, guess what? Never guess this. I didn't want to come home. I actually had a tear in my eye. But anyway, please comment, please subscribe, and please don't hesitate to hit that like button. Thank you.